Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with a very special video. Today we're going to be going through 5 things that we learned from the EVERCHOSEN Invitational number 4. So, right off the bat, I just wanted to say huge congrats to everyone involved. It was awesome to watch. It was a ton of fun, and we did see a ton of cool new stuff. Congratulations to Tlaxlan Soothsayer for taking the championship, and just a huge thanks to Turin, Italian, Janet on Occasion, Loremaster of Sotek, everyone involved at Creative Assembly as well. The event was just awesome. I had a ton of fun watching. For those of you curious, I was invited, but unfortunately due to some real-life conflicts, I was not able to accept that invitation. Unfortunately, I did have to decline, but nonetheless, I was still very happy to be a viewer this time around. And yeah, today, again, we're going to be going through the top 5 things that we learned in the EVERCHOSEN Invitational number 4. So, first things first, if you couldn't tell by what's on screen, we're going to be talking about Jezzails. Yes, indeed. Jezzails are really good, it seems. They have excellent range, do really good damage. They have a missile block chance from that Pavis dude. And yeah, just in general, they are excellent. In this particular game, they did a ton of work against some flying units in combination with Howling Warp Gale, which is absolutely brutal. It just tore apart some expensive Lizardmen flyers. So yeah, Jezzails are definitely going to be a great tool for the Skaven. We didn't see Rattling Gunners a ton. I think they only made an appearance in maybe 1 or 2 games, but still, the Jezzails certainly were in just about every game, especially the Regiment of Renown that have Stalk and Snipe. They also appear to be really decent against heavy cavalry as well. There was this game between Rightist and Soothsayer that, unfortunately, Rightist playing the Empire, a little bit tough to watch for me personally, but yeah, kind of got blown up by those Jezzails, his expensive Demigryph Knights. So yeah, going to be very good at shooting pretty much anything: infantry, cavalry, single entity models. They have great range, and that shield breaker attribute also means that shooting at shielded units, they'll be able to bypass some of that missile block chance, certainly. And yeah, that takes us to the next point, number 2. Lord Croak is awesome. He's so cool. So cool. And also incredibly terrifying if you're an infantry or cavalryman. So in this game, Indie Pride learned the meaning of pain from Lord Croak, playing as the Skaven. The deliverance of its spell seems to do just an extreme amount of damage to infantry and cavalry. We can see here that the Council Guard, the Regiment of Renown Storm Vermin, after having rocks dropped on them by those flyers, are now being in the process of blown up by the Deliverance of Itza, which is basically going to just about wipe them out. And yeah, it's an absolutely brutal spell. This was one of my favorite moments of the entire tournament, I have to say. Great use of the drop rocks by Falcon, and then just immediately coming in with that fat deliverance, just blowing up those Ratmen. Awesome to see. And yeah, Lord Croak, it's going to be interesting. You know, I'd be curious to see if he'll actually end up being meta in any matchups. He's a pretty big, slow-moving target, and he's probably not great in melee. I don't remember his melee stats off the top of my head. They probably showed it at some point throughout the stream. But nonetheless, his spell does mean that as long as he doesn't get caught out by like a single entity model or something, he should be able to just blow up pretty much everything. So yeah, Lord Croak, super glad that they decided to implement him in multiplayer, and it does seem like he's a quite powerful unit. I believe he got somewhere in the range of like 260 kills in this battle, but yeah, absolutely awesome. Great job, Creative Assembly. And yeah, Lord Croak, is he part of the free LC update? I'm trying to remember exactly what they said on that blog post. You guys will have to remind me in the comments down below. Unfortunately, I didn't put that in my notes here, but I want to say Lord Croak is part of the free DLC, so I think everyone should be getting access to him, whether or not you purchase this DLC. And that is just awesome. Moving on, next up, we're going to talk about the Legendary Lords themselves. Sorry this picture is a little bit pixelated, but we do see Ikit Claw in his Doom Wheel, and just the fact that Ikit Claw is a Skaven Lord that can mount a Doom Wheel in and of itself makes him one of the more competitive Skaven Lords because it gives him mobility and terror, which is something that no Skaven Lord really has at all. I mean, the Bonebreakers are a little bit mobile, but they don't exactly cause terror. Add on top of that the fact that he can take Lore of Ruin, which has some really excellent utility spells like Howling Warp Gale and Warp Lightning. Just in general, I think that Ikit Claw is going to be one of the most competitive Skaven Lords. Absolutely. We certainly saw him a lot in the tournament, especially on the Doom Wheel, which is why I decided to showcase this picture specifically. And again, that mobile terror, armor piercing, is something that the Skaven really lacks, so it's going to be great to have that in the form of a Lord. You can take him and the Regiment of Renown Doom Wheel as sort of a extra double Doom Wheel build, and just kind of build around that. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to get my hands on Ikit for multiplayer. And on the same coin, Tenan Juan himself is also an absolute beast. No pun intended, he does have Lore of Beasts, and can summon Manticores, Flock of Doom, all that good utility stuff. We'll be talking more about summons in just a moment, but yeah, he's a great combatant. He can take, this flying mount that makes him a nice little mobile, hit-and-run goon-style Lord. He can also take the Engine of the Gods, which we did see in one matchup, I believe, against the Greenskins, where he can unleash the Orbital Bombardment Laser Beam. Of course, he has a ton of HP up on a Stegodon, and does armor-piercing infantry as well. Not to mention, he's got Lore of Beasts. So yeah, Tenan Juan got a lot going for him. And again, I do think that he's going to be one of the more competitive Lizardmen Lords. I definitely, we'll see, but I definitely, again, excited to use him just the same as Ikit Claw. And yeah, they should be a ton of fun to use. A Flying Lord for the Lizardmen, again, it's sort of filling a niche that they didn't have before, right? Lizardmen didn't have a Flying Lord at all, and granted, he doesn't cause terror like a Griffin or a Dragon, but he can still hit and run, still does good damage, and especially because he can summon a Manticore to provide a little bit of terror, and, maybe a little bit more punch as well. Not to mention, Lizardmen got Ripperdactyls, there's that Regiment of Renown Pterodon Riders, so Lizardmen definitely going to have a lot more powerful of an Air Force in this next patch, and Tenan Juan will definitely be a big part of that, so very excited to mess around with him a bit more. Next up, sort of on a related note with the Manticore summons, all summons, in fact, now have leadership. You can see in the background of this image, there's a summoned unit. It's kind of hard to see the actual effect there, but that is a summoned unit of zombies, and they are currently wavering. So all summoned units have leadership, which is a really, really great balance change, I think. Skaven aren't going to be affected by that too much because their summons already had leadership. They were the only summons in the game, in fact, that had leadership. That is going to be a pretty significant nerf, though, which is justified and warranted to both Vampire Counts and Vampire Coast, plus the Manticore summon, Beastman summons like the Cygor and the Chaos Spawns. I guess Chaos Spawn are unbreakable, so the change doesn't really apply to them. But, the Manticore summons, the zombie summons, certainly zombies have very poor leadership. So, like, before you could summon up a unit of zombies in literally the middle of, like, 6 enemy units, and they would die relatively slowly. Now, instead, they'll immediately start crumbling, probably, and they'll disappear relatively quickly. Lore Master of Sotek also mentioned in one of the battles, I want to say, I don't remember which battle, but he did mention that there's a timing mechanic for the summons, so I didn't see exactly it working in action, but I want to say, was it in relation to the Beastmen? It may have been. I don't remember 100%, but I do remember him mentioning that there was a timing mechanic associated with summoning as well, so summoning just in general getting a big nerf and getting some mechanics changes I think is well warranted. Again, I'm excited to get in and test to see actually how much it changes. The Vampire Coast was able to perform still very well in the tournament. The Counts had a little bit of a rougher time, but they did okay. It also affects, of course, like Arcan the Black's Skeleton Summon as well. So yeah, I definitely think it's a good change, and it's a very warranted change. Hopefully it'll bring the undead races a little bit more in line with some of the other factions, because they were a little bit overtuned before. I believe Count Noctilus also got some nerfs. I don't remember exactly what they said there were, but they did mention on stream that Noctilus did have some nerfs. So that's going to be good. Hopefully the Vampire Coast won't be quite as overpowered, but we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, sort of moving on to number 5. We've been going through at a nice clip so far. This last one is one from my heart. One that is very, very special to me. Tlaxlan Soothsayer is an absolute unit. One more shot of a summon actually crumbling real quick. That's yeah, that's an actual zombie handgun mob that was summoned and is being crumbled by bats, which is just amazing. Anyway, yeah. Tlaxlan Soothsayer is an absolute unit. He won several clutch games using the Empire in one of the biggest tournaments that Creative Assembly's ever put on. I mean, an EVERCHOSEN Invitational to take Karl Franz up against Norska in the finals, in the ace match of the finals, Game 5. This guy, absolute unit, absolute mad lad. And not only that, but he had an early victory as well against Rydist, who's, you know, a very good Empire player in his own right. And just look at that card right there. Look at that card right there. Double Hammer of Sigmar, double Shield of Faith. I believe a Regrowth eventually got popped in there as well. Not to mention Sword of Crone and Curse the Midnight Wind sort of counteracting all of that. But yeah, Soothsayer, man, using the Empire in the EVERCHOSEN Invitational, doing me proud and winning the whole thing. Congratulations, sir. You are a true champion. And, yeah, have to say, that was hands down. I might have said the drop rocks earlier was my favorite moment, but yeah, Soothsayer winning with the Empire, of course, has to be my favorite moment. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this quick and dirty top 5 things we learned from an EVERCHOSEN Invitational. I mean, we already sort of knew that Tlaxlan Soothsayer was an absolute unit, but he just proved it once again with those Empire victories. And yeah, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you. Thank you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. If you want to support me in a more personal way, feel free to check out my Patreon page. I'll be posting more content there soon. Non-Total War Warhammer related content, but still, if you want to get to know me a little bit better, that's a great place to do so. So thank you all once again, and we'll see you next time.